Welcome, everybody. We're the last week of August, and what a wonderful August we've had. My name's Sheila, and I'm a certified health coach with Take Shape for Life. And we have on our call tonight, we're going to talk about some healthy habits. So we have Lynn and me and Rick and Claudia, and Jeff is on the phone, and maybe he'll join us on the screen in a minute. The first thing I want to introduce you to is Claudia. I'm going to tell you how I know Claudia. She's my coach. You guys, she's the one that helped me lose 50 pounds and is now my mentor coach and helps me with my coaching too. And so when she calls me, she checks to see how I'm doing with my eating and my exercise, and then she asks about my business too. So she's my mentor coach, and I asked her to join us tonight because I wanted you guys to connect with her and see what an awesome person she is and why I love what I do so much. Okay, so Rick, will you take a minute and tell, well, Claudia, why don't you take, everybody, let's just take seconds and tell who we are. So I introduced Claudia, so I could just tell you how fabulous she is, but we'll come back to her at the end. I'm right now seeing a pretty bunch of you, so I'm going to just go in the order that I'm seeing Lynn first. But Lynn, give us 30 seconds. Tell us who you are, any success, something exciting you had happen this week.
I'm Lynn Lockhart, and my very exciting news this week is I just started eating MetaFast meals. My second day.
And you got on the scales this morning, and what had happened already?
And I've lost 1.5 pounds in one day, which was fantastic.
Yep.
So, and I'm doing it. It's okay. Feeling a little weak right now, but I'm doing it.
So hold up what you're snacking on as we're talking.
Oh, my dinner, my last meal.
Celery sticks for me.
Yay.
I'm having my omelet right now.
Celery sticks don't sound as sweet as these right here.
I've used up all my points for the day, so celery sticks.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Rick, give us an intro of you.
I don't know really which one to know. I'm Rick. It's been a tougher week. I went back to work in the school kitchen, and it's been a little bit tougher to be good. And I've slipped a couple times, and so, but that's all right. I just need to make them habits and just be better. I'm done. I'll be done in the kitchen next week, so it'll get back to being a little easier for me.
Okay. So you're going to change from working in the kitchen at the school to where will you be working instead of the kitchen?
My house. I'm retiring.
You're retiring.
Oh,
Congratulations. Wow. It was his birthday last week when we talked, so you hit the birthday age that you can retire, huh? Good.
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing.
Good job.
Thanks for that.
Okay, so our next one that joined us is Jeff. Tell us about you, Jeff.
I am a chiropractor, and I am trying to basically work on my sleeping habits as well as getting more active.
Good. And tell them what your logo, your slogan is for your chiropractic clinic.
It is Be Well. Be
well. Isn't that a good
That's great
slogan? That's something we could all have as a motto, huh? Be well. Because it involves just so much more than physical health, doesn't it? It's our minds, our bodies, our spirits. Be well. Finances too. All of it. Okay, Kim, tell us about how your week's been. Anything to celebrate?
Not really. I've just been trying to work on eating healthy and walking every day.
Good. Okay, wonderful. Well, last week we talked about the rocking chair versus the, Claudia, I didn't come back to you. Tell us about you, Claudia. Sorry.
I'm happy. I found this program. I'm happy because since I found this program, I guess all of you guys are part of it. And my coach,
Hey for you.
If it weren't for her, I wouldn't know anything about it, and neither would you guys. It's kind of great. But Anyway, yeah, it was about, let's see, 2009. And I was able to lose 58 pounds and went from obese to normal. So normal's good. It was huge, huge change. I've been overweight for more than 20 years. So I love this program, love coaching. It's totally fun. My success of the week is I didn't gain weight in Hong Kong. We went to Hong Kong.
Wow.
Her husband had been a missionary there. So tell him why you're in Hong Kong and why you had the freedom to do that.
Well, it sure helps to have the extra money, that's for sure. And David actually quit his job. My husband quit his job in November, and we're, making this work.
And he wasn't really retirement age, but
No.
because of the income you'd made through coaching, he was able to retire early. So
Right. So we
had the freedom to go. For how long were you in Hong Kong?
I was there for 12 days, and David and Brian, our son, who just returned from Hong Kong, he's our youngest, and he served his mission there, if you know what a mission is. Anyway, he and David 40 years ago, and Brian 4 months ago.
So that's where David went 40 years ago as a missionary. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we got to go back to Hong Kong and had a wonderful time there. And I ate like crazy, but we walked like crazy. So I think it kind of balanced out. But how do you not eat when people keep taking you out to dinner? So but I was pleased that it came out even, because it was definitely not what I eat here at home. So
that's good. And that's really a lot of thing about healthy living, isn't it? That if the majority of the time we're doing everything healthy, we can travel sometimes and make some exceptions, and it's not going to throw us off our course. So that's perfect. Okay.
Let me say one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
You people on this call have the best coach alive. This girl knows how it's done, and she is wonderful. So I guess I don't have to tell you that, but in case you were wondering.
Why, thank you, Claudia.
That's fantastic.
It's the truth, Sheila. Gee.
Claudia has taught me everything I know. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen for just a minute so we can talk about what happened last week. Okay, does everybody see this picture here? How many of you can see your screen, what the picture is? And then Rick, you tell us about that picture and that picture. Oh, wait a minute, I muted him because let me unmute you. Okay, there you go, Rick. When you were typing, it was coming over, so I muted you for a minute. So tell us about these pictures of the car you want to be and why.
Well, we talked last week. You talked about a red sports car, and I'm not a sports car guy. Never really have been. I've always liked trucks. I like the big trucks, and that's why I chose this picture. And the other one is probably where I'm at right now, and I need to do some work to get to from that point, from point A to point B.
So raise your hand if some of you feel like you're not in your ideal car body right now. If you feel like your body needs a little tune-up. Okay. So what I loved about this, Rick, and what I was going to talk about tonight is sometimes when we're going along the road of life, have you ever been on an old country road and there's ruts in the road? And you get down in those ruts and you drive along in the ruts and you really have a hard time getting out of them. Have any of you experienced that? If you've experienced that, raise your hand. Okay. So what I liked about this is look at this thing that he chose as his object lesson of what he wants to be. Look where this guy's headed. He's not taking an easy path in life, is he? He's headed to a big rut, and he knows, look at the size of those tires, the kind of horsepower. He knows he's going to get through to the other side and he's going to come out. And so I thought it was a perfect analogy. And I've got to see if I can figure out, Claudia, how to stop screen sharing.
Just hit it again.
I see it.
Stop.
Okay. All right. Now, the reason I loved that so much, Rick, and I thought it was the perfect thing for the analogy I wanted to talk about tonight, is I shared a little video about the two-part brain. Raise your hand if you had a chance to watch that on our page this week. It was 2 minutes. Okay, good. Okay, good. I'm glad you all watched it. Because And I'm going to have Claudia help me describe it a little better about the two-part brain. But I just finished, I told you guys last week I had a day that I sat and read this book. Maybe I didn't tell you. Anyway, sorry. I just got a new email, I guess. Anyway, I read a wonderful book called Brain Over Binge. I sat one day when I didn't feel really well because of other issues and just read. And it was really good. And so I looked for that specifically, that 2-minute video by Amber to talk about the two-part brain. And what happens is those ruts in the road are kind of like neural pathways that are in our brain. From the back of our brain, our animal part of our brain that just wants us to get fed, to stay alive, to survive, to avoid pain, to seek pleasure. That's the animal part of our brain, and it's called the amygdala. And what happens is it has a real strong ability to give us cravings, to talk to us and tell us, you've got to have that chocolate or you're going to die. You're going to die if you don't have that chocolate right now. Okay. And so what happens is every time we listen to that and give in to that part of our brain, it kind of creates a rut in the road. And so that becomes the path of least resistance. So if we're going to change what our habits are, and we're going to start these new habits, sometimes we're going to have to get out of the rut. And so I thought it was such a great thing that you chose, Rick, to get you out of the ruts you're in. Those big tires, and you're gonna get out of that rut and you're gonna start a new path. And so the more times that you are able with the logical part of your brain, maybe you want to tell us about that, what our logical frontal cortex lobe does. Claudia, will you tell us about that?
Well, it's the one where we have reasoning power, and it sets us apart from all the other animals. Because we can decide. Nobody is making us do it. We get to decide. And so that's where, we talk about stop, challenge, choose. And that's where you stop yourself when you have that chatter or whatever saying, eat it, eat it, eat it. And you stop and you think, but I'm not even hungry. I don't need to eat that. Or you think, my goal is such and such, and I don't need that. It's not on my plan, So you use your logic to bring you back so that you can make good decisions. It's a great blessing to have this prefrontal cortex.
It is. And what's wonderful is when we have cravings, it doesn't mean we're a bad person. Do you know what it means? We're alive, that our heart is still beating. Because as long as we're still alive and we're human, that's going to be a part of our thinking pattern. It's going to always be there. But that's not the real you. The real you is the logical, spiritual, emotional you that can make good decisions. Because you know what? That back of your brain cannot walk to the fridge and open it. It takes the frontal cortex lobe. It takes the logical part of you to actually make those cravings happen. So anywhere along that path, you can say, stop. You just have to want it enough. And you have to want it more than that wants it. So what a good way to do this is to kind of disconnect from that part of your brain. And don't think of it as yourself. Think of it as it. So when you start hearing in your own voice, because it's going to say, you know where those chocolate chips are in the third drawer down in the kitchen. And you've cleaned out all the other cupboards and you don't have any other snack things, but you know that those chocolate chips are there. And they just are calling to you. Have you ever had something call you? Raise your hand if you have that food has voices. Yeah, okay. So, all right. My husband doesn't hear the voices. It's like he's got earphones on or something. He doesn't hear it. So
That's not fair.
he hears other things. He hears like things calling to him, buy me. He has his whole set of other something else. But his food isn't the thing that calls to him. So, and what's interesting is that part of our brain knows our weakness, and it's gonna try to get to us. So you just have to say, it wants some chocolate chips. Don't think I want them. Say it. It wants chocolate chips. But what do I want? I really want to be healthier. And I've said, I'm I'm doing whatever it is you've decided you're doing, and chocolate chips aren't part of my plan of where I want to be. I'm getting out of that rut. And do you know what happens? The more time that you ignore that chatter and you ignore that negative voice, do you know what happens? It's called neural pathways. And it's the same thing no matter what the addiction is, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's drugs, whether it's pornography, whether it's, whatever. It's that same idea that it wants something that you don't want. And the more times that you make a decision of what's really best for you, you're making a new road. And pretty soon that new road will be the path of least resistance. Pretty soon that will be the road that will be the thing that's automatic for you. So how many of you, does that make you excited and give you hope? I just loved when I read that book of this gal that overcame eating problems by understanding that concept. And the book is called Brain Over Binge, because she said, I realized I could use my brain to overcome that voice that was in my head. And she started thinking of the voice as it. I really like that, is to not give it any credit at all. Just think of it as it. Okay. One last thing I wanted to cover, and we just have a couple more minutes, is our habit of health we're going to focus on this week is activity. And so before I talk about activity, I just wanted to remind every one of us on our Healthy August page talked about something where we want to stop. If there's one thing we could stop doing and one thing we could start doing, that's another thing to kind of think about the ruts. So that thing we're stopping doing is kind of the old rut. The thing we're going to start doing is the new road. So I want you to think for a minute when you see a new road being built. How many of you have seen the orange cones? Right? I think that's kind of what we do for each other. Before you hit the orange cone and you hit the new road and the new construction and the detours, there's signs that kind of say, there's going to be a lane change ahead. Here's some arrows directing you this way. I think we can be that for each other. We can kind of help keep each other, remind each other, move each other to the detour. That's what we're here for. So be thinking about the thing you decided, one thing I could stop and one thing I could start. Think about it in that form of the rut and the new road. Okay, so for the last thing, I want you just to each tell me something that you like to do for activity. And we'll talk more about it this week on our page, and we'll talk more about activity, and I'll put some things for you to read and some videos for you to watch. But just off the top of your head, what's something fun you like to do? We haven't heard from you for a minute, Jeff. Tell me something you like to do that's an activity.
I like to hike. So I'm glad I moved back to North Ogden because there's a few opportunities here. Just a quick, nothing crazy, just a quick, even just a 20-minute, 15-minute hike, just a little walk.
That's a great thing. I went hiking on Tuesday, and I couldn't believe how much I call it glistening, because women don't sweat, right? That really works up glisten to hike. It's a good way to exercise. It's a great thing to do. That's good. Okay, Kim, what do you like to do to exercise?
Well, when I feel good, I like to dance and do the Zumba stuff. But when I'm struggling like I have the last few weeks, then it's all I can do to walk. And so that's what I do is I take many 5-10-minute walks throughout the day. I've been to 7,000 steps for the last. Well, today I'm not because I had a rough time at the chiropractor, but I have had 7,000 steps the last 3 days.
Good. I love that activity is one of those healthy habits that's getting us out of our rut. That's right. Because one of the ruts is when we have a real sedentary life. So activity gets us out of that rut. How about you, Rick? What do you like to do?
Oh, mine would probably be swimming.
Swimming. I love it. That's a good one because it's so good, easy on your joints, isn't it?
You got that right.
Yeah, that's a great. exercise, and it helps not only aerobic, but it's really helping with flexibility and strength training. It's a great combination sport to get all three of those kinds of sports. Okay, Claudia, what do you like to do?
You know, I have this hill that I live in a neighborhood with a big dip down and then come back up. But to do the whole thing is 2 miles, and it's really, really fun to do it. In the morning, I like to go at about 6:15, and I have my phone, and I listen to stuff on my phone. And
Like what kind of stuff?
the Book of Mormon.
Oh, okay. You listen to your scriptures as you walk.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's right.
That's a good thing. Kind of start your day off right.
Well, I just really like it, and that's about half the time, and then the rest of the time I just breathe in the air and think and love it. Just love that time for myself. I don't want to walk with anybody because it's such a nice personal time.
Ah, that's great.
I just started doing that because of my new knee. I got a new knee in December, so it does hills really well. So.
That's great. And Claudia went doing the program. You went from a down to a size, like from an 18 to a size 6 or 4 or something, didn't you?
Oh, just an 8, but it was 10 sizes down, 18 to 8.
Yeah.
Sometimes 20. I mean, it was a big, big size. And who would think 8? I don't think I've ever worn an 8, except when I was 8, you know.
Yep, that's good. And what's so nice is how her skin tightened up so beautifully. Everything, to just, you know, beautiful way to look at. Okay, Lynn, what do you like to do for activity?
I just love being out in nature. I think it's rejuvenating. So right now it's walking because I don't feel good enough for anything else, but I would love to get back to hiking. I used to love to hike.
Good. Oh, those are all fun things. So the last thing and I didn't warn Claudia ahead, but I wanted to tell her because sometimes throughout the day, I want you to talk about meat, okay? So be thinking, all right, so Dr. Anderson in his book that he wrote called, I was going to hold it up. Anyway, Dr. A's Habits of Health. He kind of talks about sometimes activity can be a physical thing like we've all talked about, but sometimes we can get some activity, kind of slip it into our lives. So will you just summarize neat things for us, and then I'll put the in-depth thing for him to read this week.
Okay.
All right. But just introduce the concept of neat.
They call it non-thermogenous exercise. And so what it really is that it's exercise you do that's not purposefully exercising, but it's what you can just add to your day. Park far away from the store so you walk further. Instead of, if you have an elevator at your work, don't take it, take the stairs. Or, you know, stand more during the day. Just those kind of things. And like Kim was saying, dancing. Wonderful thing that you don't even know you're exercising. It's so much fun, you know. So playing with your kids, just or grandkids or whatever. They're grandkids for me, but you guys are younger. But anyway, it's just it's doing those extra things. And like they talk about in the office, that instead of calling someone or texting them in the office, that you actually go walk down the hallway. And isn't it wicked when you're in the house and your husband's downstairs and you text him? Oh my God. I have done that. I really haven't. That's crazy. Get up, move. Anyway, and even the funny little things like, you know, wash your dishes instead of use a dishwasher, you know.
Because it takes more motions. Yeah. And they said like a handheld can opener instead of an electrical one. We've done so many things to make our life easier, but it's caused us to have health problems. All these little shortcuts. We're probably better to get out and sweep the floor, you know.
That's right.
Use the push mower. Oh boy. Well, that's going too far. Anyway, so thanks everybody for being on. We'll do more on our page this week about the difference between activity and then other things neat things that we can add into our everyday to just add a few extra steps and a few extra movements. Any last questions or thoughts or things that you'd like to talk about? Any questions, anyone?
It's great. I'm excited for the September games. Are you guys all joining on the September games?
We've talked about it. We just barely started talking about the September games.
Oh, this is going to be fun. 6 weeks and lots of cool reading and things like that. It's just, it's really fun.
Yep. Well, I'm trying to think if these guys have ever done the games before. I don't think so. So Rick was on one of my very first teams, I think, that we got second place out of 500 teams or something. We were so close.
Watch Sheila. She is a great leader.
Anyway, but it's fun. And I like that they've taken the competition, that we're not competing against other teams now. So everybody that gets on and gets some points, like 2/3 of the points, and meets their goal, whether it's maintenance or weight loss, and it's a % a week that's the goal to lose. So for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, you try to lose 2 pounds a week as your goal, which is very doable. But if you feel like that's a little faster than I want to lose weight, then you can sign up for the maintenance category and you can still be a winner. So everybody gets their money back plus some. That's what happens. So it's pretty fun. And it's just $20 to get in to the program, to get in the games. So do it if you'd like. We'd love. I put the link on our website, but we'll put it on again on Facebook. So thanks for bringing that, Claudia. And have a great week, everybody. We'll have one more call next week, and then it will be part of the games after that. So, all right.
Bye-bye.